The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go on ahead to the other side while he would send the crowds away. After sending the crowds away, he went up into the hills by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone, while the boat, by now far out on the lake, was battling with a heavy sea, for there was a headwind. In the fourth watch of the night, he went towards them, walking on the lake. And when the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It is a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. But at once Jesus called up to them, saying, "Courage, it is I. Do not be afraid." It was Peter who answered, "Lord," he said, "if it is you, tell me to come to you across the water." "Come," said Jesus. Then Peter got out of the boat and started walking towards Jesus across the water. But as soon as he felt the force of the wind, he took fright and began to sink. "Lord, save me," he cried. Jesus put out his hand at once and helped him. "Man of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" And as they got into the boat, the wind dropped. The man in the boat bowed down before him and said, "Truly, you are the Son of God." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
My friends, this morning, as usual, on Sunday, based on the given text, I sent out my short message to those in a WhatsApp, the broadcast list. And based on this, I found the inspiration to put the words, Jesus or God still reach out to us, even though when doubt reach us first. Okay? My friends, doubt is something that is our lot. We are not gods, and therefore we cannot be clear in everything. So there will definitely be room for doubt because we are unsure. It is an English word to describe doubt is the absence of certainty. And none of us here are certain about life. Can you know you still be alive tonight? You sure you're not going to get a massive accident that's going to knock you off? Nobody knows, huh? Okay? All right. So it's our lot in life that there will be moments in which doubt will dominate. It will take over us. And especially when we face trials and tribulation and difficulties and hardships in life, in many forms. Even the best of us who are godly people will have to undergo this trial. We cannot be exempted because Jesus, the Son of God, though without sin, went through in our humanity, in his humanity with us, all these trials and difficulties and problems. So let's look at this reality, this truth, 900 years before the time of Jesus. And always when we talk like that, it's about before God who took flesh as Jesus Christ to be one of us. So who is this Elijah? He was a man of God like you and I, a person of God who believed in God. But I suppose we cannot compare with him. He was much greater in his faith relationship with God. But still to learn from the man of God, that when there's room for doubt, but God will come and help clear the doubt and therefore strengthen us again to believe in him, to trust in him. And that's what happened to Elijah. Let's look at his history, because when we look at the history and how God come into it, you will know your own history and you check yourself, how did God come into your picture? Have you taken for granted? Okay. Elijah ministered, as I said, 900 years or 800 years before the time of Jesus. 100 years before, the king of Israel called Solomon. He died. He failed to. He died. And then after that, many other succeeding leaders of Israel went haywire. Okay? Solomon himself, as an Israelite, he wasn't faithful to the covenant as an Israelite. And then he married the non-Israelite Jezebel, and many other gods came into the picture. So a simple thing about marriage is something we don't underestimate, because God came into the picture through that marriage with a non-Jews or non-Israelite who do not subscribe to the God of Israel. And Solomon got all mixed up, messed up. And eventually, as time evolved, all the leaders and the people slowly forgot about the God of Israel, the God of their fathers, if you like. And so they bring other gods, the gods of the wind, the gods of the earth, the gods of the air, all kinds of gods, but the true God out of the picture. That's the context in which Elijah was ministering. He was the only one prophet of God left. The others all died or persecuted, and many others just left God alone. So what happened? He fought a battle, trusting God will show God's power and face. 400 prophets of Baal under Jezebel the queen challenged God as they challenged Elijah. And God gave a clear message. And that was enough to cause a lot of anger and wrath, that Elijah eventually had to escape, go to Mount Sinai, and settle in a place called the Mount Horeb. It's all part of the Sinai Peninsula. And it's from there we find the man of God got tired already. Psychologically, emotionally, and physically and spiritually tired. After all the experience of the power and might of God over all these false prophets, he too got tired. Doubt came into the picture. And so eventually he went to the mountain there. He told God, please take my life. I had enough. Can't take it anymore. That's the man of God, huh? Okay? So watch that dynamic, because you will have your share, and this reminder will help you wake up. Don't be afraid. And so Elijah got that experience of going there, and God told him, you will find me there, and I will uplift you again, and you continue the mission that I give you to renew my people. God was found or experienced by Elijah not by the earthquake, not by the strong wind, not by fire, but what was it? Gentle breeze. Would you like to do a funny exercise at this moment? Turn around and blow each other. Just feel the gentle breeze. That's how Elijah experienced God. Okay? Of course, that breath is fragrance. If you got bad breath, don't do that. All right, that's Elijah's experience of God, huh? So be fragrant so that you can breathe the fragrance air of love to others, and others can say, thank God for the good breath. Okay, trials and tribulation will affect us, but God is faithful. Don't forget that one, because once you forget, you get into more trouble. But if you remember, God will come and just give his gentle breath upon us and uplift us to continue our journey. Let's look at the second one, and that is Paul in the second reading in his letter to the Romans. He was filled with sadness and pain and sorrow. Because why? His fellow Jews did not accept Jesus, the promised Messiah. And not only they did not accept, not only they rejected, but they condemned. They condemned the promised one of God, Jesus the Messiah. And not only they condemned Jesus and crucified him, those who believed, their fellow Jews, and in this case here, many of the non-Jews in Rome already accepted Jesus, were persecuted by them. So Paul, in his thinking by then quite matured in the Lord, was feeling so much pain and sorrow. This is a trial for him, a trial of faith in Jesus Christ. They said, how I wish even if I am cut off from Jesus, but my fellow Jews can embrace the Messiah I'll be happy to do that. At the same time, with that fear, that doubt, he still have that courage and trust that God can bring him and others into God, to Jesus. Okay, again, I highlight this to have you be aware, identify your own journey of faith where you are at with the Lord. Okay, you may wish for something good for others, but others rejected Jesus. Don't pull your hair out, don't beat the drum, and don't get violent. Remain calm for the Lord to work. Okay? And finally, let's look at Peter in the Gospel. Again, they experienced Jesus so deeply in his public ministry. They witnessed his power, the Son of God. They witnessed his healing strength. They witnessed his wisdom, the heavenly wisdom. And yet, after all that, there's so much that we're given, there's still doubt when trials and difficulties come. And the Lord knew. Okay, Peter will later deny him also. All the others will abandon him also. Judas will betray him for 30 silver pieces of coins. In this episode, what happened? They were happy to join Jesus in the multiplication of loaves, in his wise teaching that uplift people's minds and heart and soul and encourage the body to go on trusting in God, to be more open to receive God through Jesus, his person, the promised Messiah. And that multiplication of loaves were marvelous signs of that. And all these tired out Jesus and tired out the apostles. And that's why Jesus told them, you go away first while I dismiss the crowd. So that context again, try to remember. And all that, the body, mind, heart, all tired out already, isn't it? They were exhausted. And that's where, on the fourth watch, between 3 to 6 in the morning, Jesus appeared walking on the lake, and they were frightened. They thought it was a ghost. Who wouldn't be afraid, huh? At the ungodly hour. But that's where we pick up the lesson. In that situation, yes, they were tired out, but their faith was also tired out somehow. Their doubt has taken over. In the night, the strong wind, the waves, all these are external features that are going to hit us inside us, heart and mind, emotion, psychology, spirit, all weakened. And that's why the image even of God coming as Jesus frightened them. And this episode is really dramatic and full of lessons. You have this Apostle Peter, who definitely represents the others, came out of the boat and told that figure there, if you are truly Jesus, ask me to come forward in this water. It's not calm water, huh? It's waves. Huh? And Jesus simply said, come. He was so focused on Jesus there with his vision, with his eyes, the body eyes, he dared to step out in faith. Why? Impossible for any human being to just walk on water, especially disturbed water. And he just walked. Could he see clearly? The vision of the image, yes, but it was total darkness, 3 a.m. And he just walked. But the moment the wind hits him, that's where his vision of Jesus simply vanished and he sank. These are all very powerful symbols to tell us in our life journey, you and I will have to go through that. There will be moments, there will be storms in our life. For example, your personal sicknesses or your loved one who falls seriously ill. You don't think you won't be shaken? You will be shaken. What about the loss of money, business, bankrupt, scam? You'll be turned upside down, that's for sure. No one here can say, I won't. Bound to. And here's where then we pick up all this lesson from the gospel that even when the trial comes, if it's not my cause or my own causes of it, I have to learn something about it to change. But even if it's not my cause, others impose it, I still am subjected to the trials and difficulties, and my faith will still be tested. But if I keep that vision of Jesus clear in my mind, the eyes of my mind, not the eyes of the body, the eyes of the mind and heart, then internally I'm stabilized. And that's where I can follow Jesus in life. Okay, so these are all very powerful symbols and figures for us to pick it up. It's not just for us to dramatize it or to be awed by it. But it's for you and I to pick it up and say, what about me? If I'm in that situation, will I walk and follow Jesus there? And will I hold on to him even when the clouds come or the storms come, the waves hit at me? Okay? So there you are. Ultimately, one lesson from all these 3 episodes is focus on Jesus. Another word is centered on Jesus. Another word is be conscious of Jesus in your Christian life. Not just on Sunday you become conscious. How many of us here are really conscious on Sunday? Even at this Mass? You probably forget about this gospel after you finish Mass. But to build that Christ consciousness, that God consciousness is vital if we are to move on in life with all the challenges that will come. You don't ask for it, it will come also. But we've got to be ready for it. Okay? Just a final note. Yesterday I was watching on the news or TV, and they carried the matter on the conference, I think. It's quite an international one, held here in Singapore. And the Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. Gan, was talking in response to the question and he said something which I thought is important for us to take note. That's why I just want to articulate it, a short one. And it's about changing. He was saying, we are living in a changing world, fast changing. Every day, not just every week or every month or every year, but every day, things are changing. Maybe he's talking about the political and economic climate of the world that is fast changing, and it will affect us even in a tiny country. It will affect us. So the point is, be prepared, he said. We've got to be always mentally, emotionally prepared as a person, as a nation. And I thought it is good perhaps for National Day for us to consider this. We are living in a very changing, trying world, very fast change. And we can be caught off our feet and drown if we are not stable in our mind and heart with the Lord. So work on that one, so that we will always stay focused on the Lord, centered on the Lord, be Christ-conscious person. Finally, what do you and I need to do to arrive at this Christ consciousness? You and I have to do our personal homework. Every day, make sure you knuckle down, discipline yourself, sit down, commit to time spent with the Lord. In church, in the park, in your room, wherever, you can be quiet and open your mind and heart with your soul and body that sits, that rests, that sleep, or on bed. Think about the Lord. Pray, reflect, ponder. You can do that every day. You cultivate a mentality, an attitude, and eventually a character that will help you become Christ conscious. And then when trials and tribulation comes in whatever form, you should be able to identify how to manage them with Christ consciousness. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.